Treefort Music Fest is back for 5 epic days, 400 artists, and one unforgettable adventure in downtown Boise. From March 26th through the 30th, catch Sophie Tucker, Remy Wolf, the Linda Lindas, plus experience Alefort, Dragfort, and more. Tickets start as low as $90, so buy your pass now. And remember, zipline passes get you to the front of the line all weekend. Get your tickets now at treefortmusicfest.com/tickets. Today on CityCast Boise. Idaho's literacy rates took a hit during the pandemic and haven't bounced back, putting our kids at risk for lifelong struggles in education, employment, and even the criminal justice system. We're digging into the impact on our community and how a local book drive is working to change the story. It's Tuesday, March 11th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Joining me today is Savannah Lewis, Senior Manager of Development and Community Engagement with United Way of Treasure Valley. Thanks so much for being here today, Savannah.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Lindsay. I'm fangirling, and I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Oh, I am so excited to jump into this topic with you. So I realized as we started talking, I've heard of United Way before. I feel like from the 90s, maybe like infomercials from the 90s or something, but I don't actually know much about what it is. So what is United Way and what kind of work do you do in the Treasure Valley?
That is a great question to get us kicked off. And believe it or not, a lot of folks have this question when I'm out and about in the community. So essentially, big picture is United Way is all about bringing people together to tackle the biggest challenges facing our community. And that means that United Ways show up differently in different communities because each needs of that community is unique. So there are United Ways across the globe. And here in Idaho, there are 7. And so I'm situated here at the largest United Way of Treasure Valley here in Boise.
And what are some of the challenges, if it's unique to every area, what are some of the challenges that United Way is working to address in our area?
We pride ourselves on being the collaborator, the connector, and the convener of the community, meaning that we bring together community partners, corporate partners, and community members to solve certain issues. Healthy community is one of them. And that means improving the health and well-being for all. And some examples of this are access to healthcare. Mental health support is a huge one here in Idaho. Another impact area we focus on is financial security, creating a stronger financial future for every generation, and also youth opportunity. And this is helping young people realize their full potential. And this could look like early childhood education and also literacy development, which is kind of what we're here to talk about today.
Well, Savannah, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on the show, because I saw that United Way is holding a book drive this month to gather books for children in the Treasure Valley. And I'm a reader. I love reading. I definitely want everybody who wants to read to be able to have access to a book. But why is access to books such a big focus for United Way in particular?
That is such a good question. And United Way focuses on data. That's one of the things that we are known for, and it's how we are able to provide such efficient solutions in the community because of our data. And what the data is telling us is that about 61% of families in the Treasure Valley who are struggling financially don't have books at home for their kids. And this means that kids aren't able to keep up in school, are struggling academically, and aren't as strong of learners. Also, what we know is that up until 3rd grade, kids are learning how to read, but from 3rd grade on, they're reading to learn, meaning that once a child knows how to read, they can teach themselves anything. And I think that is so fascinating, and it really is a predictor of success. And if kids are reading at 3rd grade level, then they have much more likely to be successful in the future.
Wow, that's definitely a higher number of families struggling than I maybe would have guessed. And maybe it shouldn't be surprising, but I guess I didn't think that many families in this area just struggled to even have books at home. So How do these book drives help bridge this gap for these families?
Kids are more successful at reading and academically if they have access to high quality reading materials. And reading improves many things like literacy, language, communication, their creativity and their social skills. It's so much more than just their vocabulary. They are building their imagination and, picturing themselves in these books or being able to relate with the character. It even helps them develop those social skills, such as like how to make friends or maybe how to deal with the situation that they've read in these stories. So it's so much more about, just learning how to read. It really helps shape people into the adults that they become.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
BTW FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
So, what can you tell me about this children's book drive? How did it start? What are some of your goals with it?
Absolutely. This is our 10th annual children's book drive, and we are so excited to keep this tradition going. We've partnered with Book It Forward Idaho for these 10 years, and our goal is just to get books into as many kids' hands as possible. And this year, our goal is to collect 25,000 books.
That's a lot.
Which
That's
is a
lot.
Last year, we collected just over 22,000. And so this year we are raising the stakes. There are more kids that need books. Our partners with Book It Forward are ready to receive all these books and already know where they're going to be going in the community.
So, Savannah, what kind of books are you looking for? Are there specific age groups of books or type of books that you need the most? I know you mentioned we want to get kids to this third grade reading level. So what kind of books can we donate to help kids get there?
Yes, absolutely. So we're looking for books for kids age 0 to 18. We have a harder time getting books for teens, but those are actually really important as well. Many of these books are going to go to detention centers where there are kids who aren't currently reading at grade level who need more exposure to books. But also we really are hoping to get a lot of books that are not written in English. So Spanish are highly requested. We also are trying to collect books in Swahili, Arabic, and Dari.
Okay, so if I'm looking to get those books, where are some places that I could find books in those other languages?
Great question. We're also really proud to partner with Rediscovered Books, a local bookstore. So if folks want to donate books but maybe don't have books at home, they can go online to Rediscovered Books, and there's a wish list there, and it has just hundreds of books that they could buy. And many of them are, written in those languages other than English, and they could purchase those online. The books will then be shipped to Rediscovered Books, and our volunteers will pick them up and bring them to our event.
Okay, thank you so much. I was so scared the answer was going to be that large online retailer. And I was like, no, is there a way I can shop local and help and get books that aren't in English?
Absolutely. Shop local. Shout out to Rediscovered Books.
So are there any restrictions on what kind of books you'll accept? Could I donate a very gently used book that maybe I got for my kids and actually it didn't really hit as well as I'd hope. And so I hope another child can enjoy it.
New books or gently used books, we will take them. Part of our volunteer event is to clean the books and repair the books to make them look as new as possible so that the next child can love on them even more.
And you mentioned that books can go to families, detention centers. Are there other places that these books go once they're collected? Or how do you make sure that they reach these kids who so desperately need them?
This is where our partnership with Book It Forward comes in. United Way is that convener, that connector, and Book It Forward has these relationships, and they will be delivering these books to kiddos here in the Treasure Valley. So if you think about anywhere where kids are, so particularly Title I schools, YMCA programs, Boys and Girls Club, YCAP, women's shelters and justice centers, as well as pediatric clinics, summer reading programs, anywhere where kids are, that's where these books are going to go.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so they're going to a wide variety of places.
Absolutely. There are about 30 programs that will be receiving books from this event this year.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Savannah, you mentioned this earlier, but Idaho's children's literacy rates did slip during the pandemic and haven't recovered, honestly. So how much of a role does access to books play in getting us back to where we need our children's literacy to be?
So in 2022, so coming out of COVID, our kiddos at third grade here in the Treasure Valley, almost 60% of them were not reading at that grade level, and which is very alarming. It means a lot of children were falling behind when it was really critical for them to have that grade level reading stats. And this impacts these kids in a lot of ways. What we know from our data is that there's a direct link between academic failure and delinquency, violence, and crime. And a shocking statistic is that about 85% of folks that are in our juvenile justice system are functionally illiterate.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And unfortunately, if kids aren't reading at that third grade reading level by the end of third grade, they are 4 times more likely to not graduate high school.
So it sounds like this has a really big impact on communities and on these children's future.
Absolutely. It's actually one of the best indicators of success for a child.
Yeah, we've talked about, there were several news stories about Idaho literacy rates and how that impacts academic success. But it's really interesting to hear you talk about that this can really impact them as a holistic person. It's not just about, can they do vocab? Do they know their spelling words? But this really can impact their whole life. I mean, we're ordering or planning on prison beds based on how they're reading in third grade. Like, that just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the biggest barriers that families face when accessing books for their children? Because I'm going to guess there might be some people who are like, there's books everywhere. Why is this a problem? So, but can you elaborate on what some of these barriers are and why things like this book drive are so important?
Yeah, there are a lot of barriers for folks to be able to get books in their home. So United Way serves a population that it is called ALICE. So it means asset limited, income constrained, employed. And essentially, these are the folks that are working and they're making just enough money to stay above that poverty level so they don't receive government assistance in many instances, but they're not quite making enough to meet all of their budgetary needs. So they're really in that survival budget, so like needs only. And this often means it covering food or cost of gas, cost of rent. Those are the basic things that a lot of these families can afford. And that often means that books are not making it into that essential budget. And of course, we all know this housing crisis that we're experiencing in Idaho, and folks are having to move more and more. And when you think about moving and things that you can carry or things that you can take with you easily, books usually don't make that list.
Yeah, I recently moved and the boxes and boxes of books. If I'm in a situation where I'm having to pay for a moving truck or something like that, yeah, that definitely doesn't rank as high up as, we need our clothes, we need our beds, we need the basic utensils to cook. So that makes a lot of sense about why these families may not have the access to books that in 2025 we would think people would.
Right. And what we're often seeing too is these kids, they're either coming from households where their caregivers are working one, maybe two jobs, and they don't have access to their parent for that education piece. Maybe they're not being, have reading time at night. Or often what we see here in the Treasure Valley is a lot of single parents, and that makes time with their parents even harder, not having access to their parent to be able to do bedtime stories, things like that. And something really shocking that we see a lot in our United Way data is there are a lot of single parents here in the Treasure Valley. And of our Alice population that we're serving, 80% of single mothers fall into that Alice category, meaning that they are just above that poverty line, but not making enough to meet all of their budgetary needs.
And what has been the impact of past drives? You said this is the 10th anniversary. So what has been the impact of these past book drives on the community?
Yeah, some of the big impacts coming out of these book drives are the stories that we hear from the programs that get the books. And we often get to hear from the social workers or the teachers or program coordinators that receive the books. And one of my favorites was that some of these books went to a Title I school, and a little girl in first grade was able to pick out a book, and she was astonished that she would actually be able to take the book home. She thought it, was there for her to read for the day, but she was so thrilled when she realized that it was her book and she got to take it home and put in her library.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, Savannah, beyond donating books, which everybody listening, I really hope, you're heading to the Rediscovered Books page to find some books to donate, or checking your own libraries for gently used books that people in the Treasure Valley could use. But beyond just donating books, how can people get involved in this effort for our community?
Yes, besides donating books, we are hoping to get a lot of folks volunteering for our event that'll be March 31st through April 4th. And we're going to be cleaning these books and repairing these books and getting them looking as new as possible so that they'll be ready to distribute to all these new children throughout the Treasure Valley. And during this first Thursday event, we'll have some opportunities to engage with our team members for folks to learn more about United Way. We have a couple of initiatives that we're really proud of, such as community school strategy here in Idaho, and also our Find Help Idaho initiative. And there'll also be just a time to come together with other book lovers. And I don't know if you've ever done blind date with a book, but we're going to have that opportunity there as well at this event. So it's going to be a good time.
I think that sounds fantastic. Well, Savannah, thank you so much. And we will get some links from you to put in the show notes so people can check out those events and look at getting involved if they, want to come get these books ready for these kids. And okay, number's 25,000, right? We need 25,000 books.
Yes, 25,000. And we need the whole community's help to get there.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to tell your friends about the podcast so they know what's happening around town too. We'll be back tomorrow morning to find out if there's anywhere in the Treasure Valley you can still get a meal for $10 or less. See you then.